Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. You are here for Friday with Sandy.
Shalom, everybody. Sandy here.
Founder of HBSGuru.com. And we have a candidate from Brazil. Rodrigo is 28 years of age. You know, the first time he took the GMAT, he got a 760. He graduated from the University of Salamanca in Spain, degree in civil engineering. Very tough subject. He says he graduated at the top of his class in 2017. He's got 5 years of work experience. He is currently a credit business manager. Is that right? And you have a lot of analytics in your work, which is something that's a strong point. A lot of schools are looking for that today. Sandy, this guy wants to get into Stanford, MIT, Yale, or UC Berkeley Haas. What do you think?
As we said in the pre-program, you got to apply to HBS. It's possible that people like you do not get into Stanford or MIT just because those schools are hard. You're super competitive, but you can't count on it. HBS is larger. So and I advise you to apply to HBS. You'll love it there. And that's my advice on that.
And I think that's worth explaining to people. I mean, you know, when a school's intake is very small, there's less latitude for the school to accept greater numbers of people that are.
In order to get into Stanford, you need something. You need something that pops you out of the box, that makes you extraordinary. Either that, or it helps a great deal if you're an underrepresented minority. Which is a legal category that means U.S. citizen, usually African American. So you're not an underrepresented minority, even though.
Yeah, or there has to be an X factor of some kind, and I don't see any X factor in the resume or the application, unless we're missing something.
By X factor, we mean something that is really extraordinary, like you won a huge prize or founded a company, or.
You play violin in the Royal Philharmonic.
Yeah.
You sang a lead role, a baritone at the Opera House in Milan. No, you haven't done any of those.
No, not. Unfortunately, not. I have been a lucky guy, but not that exceptional. No. Yeah.
That's why Harvard, which accepts almost 1,000 students to get to 930 every year, has more options for you than a Stanford with 450, or MIT, which is even smaller, or Berkeley, which is among the smallest of the schools that you're applying to.
Yeah, the Stanford and MIT are like you just can't count on it. It's just too crazy. Harvard, your chances are better simply because of the size, and they go for people like you. Also, let me just add this knowledge.
Absolutely. Go.
Harvard actually has a lot of people from Brazil. You care to guess, like, in the total Brazilian population at Harvard?
Like 50 out of the 2,000? Or much less?
Too high.
50? Come on, man.
I'd say it's 20.
20 is the answer.
Okay.
That's my
20
guess.
Brazilian passport holders and 3 from Portugal. So if you're out there and you can present yourself as coming from Portugal, you think about HBS, they're looking for kids from Portugal. Good.
I'll try to find some connection there.
Now, one of the things Sandy, I find, I don't know if I find this troublesome or not, but Rodrigo has had, is it 4 jobs since you graduated, 4 different companies?
Three.
Yeah, good point, John.
3 companies.
Was this CBRE Brazil? I've got that as 1 year and 2 months, and then Nubank, and then Inventa. Okay, right, three companies.
Yeah, and the latest company is a B2B e-commerce startup, right?
Okay, let's back up.
Yeah.
The latest company is. Tell us about the latest company.
Okay, so like, I always changed jobs out of kind of too good to pass opportunities. So I started my career at CBRE. It was a mostly commercial role, Then I moved to Nubank because I want to be closer to analytics. And then like I was happy at Nubank, but there was this great founding team working at Inventa, and they invited me to join them as employee 16.
Good. Okay, that's a good
So,
story.
like,
Let's say
it
that
was a
this is an
too good to
interview.
pass.
Okay, let's say that this is an interview, and the first question, as it often is can you tell me what you're doing now? Hey, can you tell me what you're doing now, work-wise?
Yeah, like as we have this e-commerce, this marketplace, we have an option for buy now pay later.
This is real important. The guy says, okay, pretend I haven't read your resume. Tell me what you're doing now.
Okay, so I work in credit for Inventa in this B2B marketplace. So basically, the idea of the marketplace is to connect suppliers with small retailers.
Okay, mainly. This is important. You really got to get. You're not doing it, and you got to be able to do it. You should look at prior tapes here. This is something you have to get down. I work at Inventa. Currently, I work at Inventa. It's a blah blah. It's a 20-employee company headquartered in Sao Paulo. The company does blah and blah and blah, and my role is this and this, and I've been there for 2 years, or whatever the accurate version of that is. You get the difference?
Yeah, like starting from the beginning, basically.
Yeah.
Let me try.
Particularly, you should do that in any case, but particularly if you say if the interviewer says, "Pretend I haven't read your resume."
Okay.
The common question.
I will write this down. Yeah. So let me
try it again. Hey, what are you doing now?
So I work at Inventa, which is a B2B e-commerce startup. I joined them when they were a 16-person startup, and now we have grown to more than 300 person. And I have been working on building the credit part of the marketplace. Since we have this buy now pay later option in our checkout, we need to decide.
Better real fast, but you're not there yet. Okay. Got to really practice this. It's critical. They'll ask some version of that, and if you can't explain it, it's very, very damaging.
Mm-hmm. After you say it's an e-commerce startup,
just go directly to what I do.
What it does first.
No, you need a little bit to start. You go, I work for a company named Inventa. It's headquartered in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It's a X-year-old company that has gone from X employees to its current number of Y. And what Inventa does is 1, 2, and 3. You got it?
Okay. So I work at Inventa. It's headquartered in Sao Paulo. It's a 2-year-old startup that I joined when it was a 16-employee company only, and now it has more than 300 employees. And
how come it's growing so fast? They'll also interrupt.
Okay, makes sense. So and
interruptions are good. If the people are tough, they don't interrupt and they make you keep talking.
Makes sense. And it's a marketplace for B2B, basically. The idea is to connect suppliers to small and medium retailers for these retailers to buy their suppliers.
This is also critical. I don't understand that. What does it do?
The idea is to build a similar business to Fair, but in Latam. So it's a B2B marketplace. So brands, and which are our suppliers, are connecting to small and medium retailers all through Brazil, so these retailers can buy their supplies to resell in their stores. Now I know that sounded weird.
Well, you're getting better. You see, you've got to stress the business.
Shouldn't you say this? It's a Brazilian version of Amazon for small and medium-sized retailers. Period.
Okay.
That's what it is, really. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a Brazilian version of Amazon for small and medium retailers. Done. No
Okay.
more. They ask you
Okay,
more
yeah.
questions, then you can get into the detail. But then,
Okay.
but using that, people immediately know, right? Because everyone knows Amazon.
You can see, yeah. I'm going too deep with fair and kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
Just go for the marketplace, the big one.
Yeah, John delivers here. Lucky he was with us today.
Yeah.
So,
I expect to bring you with in my interviews.
yeah, we can have a little setup. John can be whispering off of me. Right. Okay, same question. What's Nubank?
Nubank is a fintech. It's the biggest fintech in the world. It started in São Paulo. Now it's in 4 or 5 Latam countries already, and it started with a credit card. That was the main business there. Highly inspired in Capital One business in the US, and
I'm having
I
a
mainly
hard
work.
time. I'm having a little hard time understanding what you're saying, and even the updated resume you sent me is not good. You never define what the company is. I mean, you say Nubank, senior business analyst, credit strategy, business analyst acquisitions, started an acquisition to run the ramp up, 2 million new customers in 4 months of the republish process, rescoring activity
Yeah.
previously denied customers. You gotta hire someone to, I'm serious. You gotta hire someone to normalize this resume.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
You know what I'm saying by normalize it?
Yeah, like probably make it simpler. I think it's the Amazon
There's
for
things that,
small and medium
well,
retailers.
it's not a matter of being simple. It's a matter of you're not defining what the company is.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what is Nubank?
It's the largest fintech bank in Latin America, started with credit cards like Capital One in the United States.
Makes sense. No, yeah.
Okay,
It's-
yeah, we don't want to beat you up anymore. You should hire
It makes
someone
sense.
to normalize the resume, or you should also, there are many, many examples of business school resumes on the internet. Take a look at them and you'll see the difference. It's critical. Okay, here's a question. What do you want your Harvard classmates to know about Brazil?
That there are a whole lot of opportunities in here. I think like Latin America in general, but Brazil is like the biggest country in Latin America. There are a lot of opportunities.
Start right there. So you say it's the largest country in Latin America. I want them to know that. And what are its major industries?
The biggest part of the GDP is services, basically. The biggest companies are the banks, actually, and the, how can I say that, first sector, like the ones that are extracting oil or iron, and agriculture is also really important.
It produces oil, it exports oil?
Yeah, it's like the 10th
Very
biggest
important.
producer or something like that.
Is it part of OPEC?
No, it's not. It's not. Like it's especially because like it's a big producer, but it's also a big consumer. So it's not part of OPEC. No.
Okay, you got to get that story a lot more clear. Let me tell you, a good place to start is Wikipedia. You know that? You know Wikipedia? Yeah, just look Brazil up in Wikipedia. It sounds crazy, but
yeah, that may sound funny to people, but Wikipedia is incredibly good at this kind of thing.
Yeah, and what it's particularly good at is giving you the format of how to discuss it. You know, if they say
those profiles are really well structured.
Yeah, what do you want your classmates to know about Brazil? You go, well, I want them to know that it's the largest country in Latin America. It's been a democracy for the past 40 years. It's got a stable government. Its leading industries are blah, blah, and blah. Really important to be able to have those things under your control. Okay, very, very famous question. Could you give me a roadmap of your career after business school. Like, what job would you want after you graduate? What job would you want after that? And where do you ultimately see yourself?
That's a part I'm kind of working on yet, but I like
Okay, that's
going
okay for
from
our
the
viewers
from.
and for you.
No, yeah,
That's why,
absolutely.
yeah, you got to nail this, man.
No,
You
yeah,
really have to nail it.
I mean,
Here's the
um,
issue. Rodrigo would love to get into venture capital, but given his background and given how selective those firms are, it's going to be very hard for him to put that on his resume. He should say he really wants to work in investment banking and then ultimately become a venture capitalist.
Yeah, you know, you don't have to put that on your resume at all. You have to put that, it's the goals part of the application. That's what you
uh-huh, yeah, I understood. So yeah, like I see these two options for me. Like one is working towards investment banking and eventually being able to go into venture capital. And there's a second part of me, and there's a second option I see, which is working into product management, especially in a big company, maybe a FANG, where I can like I have worked a lot in analytics, but I haven't actually developed real products, and I see the opportunity to
Like, what
learn
would you
how
mean?
to
What would
build
product be? I'm not fully understanding this.
like building being part of the team obviously that builds something that will get to the consumers at the end of the day. Like
Okay.
if I could.
So you want to leverage your degree in civil engineering along with your analytical skills and an MBA to land a product management job at a tech company like Amazon.
Yeah, I feel like this, and I see this as a great and important step to be able to become an entrepreneur in 5 or 7 years from now. Like I see, I don't think right
Okay, so
now
how
is
would it
the
happen? Let's
right
say,
time.
what would be an ideal company to work for right after business school?
I think the big one, the FANG ones are a good example. For example, if I could join Apple, I know I would be able to learn how to build great products and how to understand better my my customers
Yeah,
and
but that
learning from the best.
anybody could say that. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah, uh-huh,
You have to go,
uh-huh.
given that my long-term goal is to be an impactful whatever or start my own company, like a good
Hmm.
place for me to start working. Given that my long-term goal is to start my own company in the X space, okay?
Okay,
Well, you know, a good place for me to start would be Apple, where I could get exposed to an entrepreneurial culture and I could maybe work. You know, I notice Apple, people who get MBAs start at Apple in these positions. You should do that homework.
okay,
You really
okay.
sound more like you know what you're doing.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
John, does Apple have like a rotational leadership program?
Yeah, and they bring in people at all levels of the company from MBA schools. So you can just go on Apple's site and you'll actually see the jobs that are open to MBAs there.
Okay, that's real important, man. Real important.
Okay,
So
okay.
many applicants to business school actually are so uninformed about how these companies work and who they are.
And here's a good way to do it. Go to LinkedIn and search on Apple and MBA, and you'll see
Uh-huh.
all the MBAs who work for Apple and the roles that they have.
There you go. Gold.
Good.
It's gold, John. It's gold.
Now, what do you think about Rodrigo's selection of schools? He's aiming incredibly high. Yes, he has a very impressive GMAT score. But Stanford, MIT, Yale, and Haas, and then you recommended that he apply to Harvard Business School. Should there be schools in this group that
Maybe
are
Columbia.
so hard to get into?
Columbia would be a good school because they'll go for the GMAT. What were you thinking of, John? UVA?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of maybe some schools that are not in the M7 or in and around, the very top schools, just to give you some safety margin. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Hopefully you
So,
get into
John,
one or
what would
two.
you consider? Name some safety schools or
I would
safer
think,
schools.
I would think about Duke. I think Duke is a great place for you. And
Yeah.
incidentally, you mentioned Apple Computer. The CEO of Apple Computer, Tim Cook, has an MBA from Duke, and Duke has been a real recruiting hotspot for Apple and for MBAs. So I would
Wow.
put Duke on my list for sure.
That's a great one. Like I
Well,
have
Duke
studied
and Columbia,
for Duke.
look, check them out, man. Okay. It's just,
Yeah, absolutely.
they're out there.
So what do you
Okay.
think his odds are, Sandy?
Let me ask one more question.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the one nobody's able to answer, even though I say it every week. Could you point out like a role model, someone who is got a job that you want at the end of your career, and or two or three people like that? You should be able to do that. Like,
I think
whose job do you want in 25 years?
if I could choose someone to be after I graduated, it would be David Vélez, which is incidentally Nubank CEO. Like he was able to build from almost.
Okay, that's the answer. Okay, a good role model
Okay.
for me is this guy who is the CEO of Nubank, and he's a role model for me because he did this, he did that, he did that, and that's a road I could see myself following. And he's also a great guy.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good role model. Okay, his odds at Stanford, which accepts only 6% of all the applicants and rejects therefore 94%, and it's in a self-selecting pool of incredible candidates.
If it's the case that you're great, that you graduated first in your class and you've got a 760 MBA and you come from a sort of underrepresented place like
Brazil.
Brazil. Yeah, I take that back. There are a lot of people from Brazil. What you're missing here is the fireworks. Usually people who get into Stanford have one really knockout thing to present. Not always. I mean, they obviously take people just on the things you present. So I think your odds of getting admitted to Stanford are like 20%, 25%. It's a hard place, man.
Those are good odds. I
Wow.
wouldn't think they're that high.
I could fight on that. Yeah.
The problem is that there's a lot of people like you.
Yeah. Okay.
And
No,
many of those,
understood.
And then MIT, same, you're saying, Sandy?
no, here's what you need for Stanford, okay? If you
Okay.
could present yourself as someone who is interested in like overcoming adversity, being a do-gooder, business, you're interested in starting a company that helps, employ people. You've seen the impact that companies where you live have, companies like A and B have made, and that has been very powerful impact, and then detail those impacts. And if you said, I'd like to attend Stanford to become, a wide-ranging leader like that, someone who can lead as a businessman, someone who can lead as a community leader, someone who can really have a positive impact. If you could present yourself that way, it would really help.
One of the issues I think with Stanford, with Rodrigo, which you have pointed out, but this is worth just saying another thing about this. Your resume is very straightforward. It's not multidimensional. It doesn't show me that you're more than just a business person, and that's all you are. And it's very nuts and bolts. There's nothing that tells me, who you are as a person. I don't get any sense of personality from this. And I think that's a problem.
Do you mean the resume or the whole application, John? I mean,
well, the resume
it's hard,
and
it's hard.
Rodrigo's presenting himself.
Yeah, but you're not talking about the job part of the resume. You're talking about the other stuff on the resume.
Yeah, what extra things have you done? What have you done that shows your ambition that's not directly related to your own success? How have you been ambitious for other people in other organizations that you're not a part of? That's a real important part of Stanford. They want to see that you're involved in the world, in the community, and you're giving back in some way or supporting someone. Super important is not, and that's missing from your profile.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they're looking for people who are going to have a real impact and a do-gooder overlay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more than career progression.
Stanford could be hard.
And, and MIT and Harvard, and Columbia, the 760 can get you a lot.
Particularly if you clarify that you were first in your class somehow.
Yeah, you got to make that absolutely.
I keep saying that, man. If you do nothing else, do that. Okay.
Okay, absolutely. I'll work on that.
Yeah, I would say, boy, your chances of getting into, you should, if you got your application normalized, you would stand a good chance of being interviewed at Harvard.
I would also apply to Duke, because Yale and Haas are going to be also tricky and difficult given the size of the incoming classes and the competition you're going to face. You do have, GPA and stats with a standardized test that definitely puts you in the ballpark. But I think Sandy has said this before. I want to emphasize this to you. You need someone to help you with your application and your resume. Someone who is an English speaker, native, because I just feel like there's just too much gobbledygook in this resume.
Yeah, I agree. You really need to find someone to help you, even if you got
to have it cleaned up and you got to make it nice and clear. And I'm assuming that this resume is also a reflection of your writing style. So I'm going to assume that the way you wrote this resume is the way you're going to write your essays. And you really need a native English speaking person to help you. Can be a consultant, can be a friend, but somebody's got to do this because you're not putting your best foot forward yet. And yet,
I would talk to a number of consultants. That's a good way of getting a cheap education.
Yeah, because you got the numbers, and you got interesting experience, particularly now with a startup on top of two bigger companies that you were with. So you kind of need to just figure out how to tell you
show that. That's the feeling I got from this talk.
Yeah.
I feel like
let me say something. Investing in applying to business school can be an unbelievably powerful investment. Getting into Harvard Business School is worth many millions of dollars.
It actually is, believe it or not. Okay. Over the course of your career will be worth millions of dollars.
Not to mention, it's a good place to meet somebody. Well, it's a good place to make a network.
Well, look, apply to Duke, do what we said. You're going to be in a good position if you listen to our advice.
This conversation was great. I really thank you guys for your time and for the opportunity.
Rodrigo, good luck to you. Sandy, thank you once again. You've been watching Fridays with Sandy. I'm John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Thanks for watching us.
Adios, everybody.